Tesacos is your usual suspect. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning that we are coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. It's a quarter past the hour of 9 a.m. here in the Pearl of Africa. It's a beautiful, bright, and sunny day in the capital. And yeah, it's good to be back with you guys. Of course, as usual, it's the Wednesday morning sports update where we'll get to speak transfers and more analysis on your favorite clubs from the Premier League and more. But more importantly, I want to say thank you to all our new community members. Welcome to the community. Thank you for joining us. Every single one of you that has recently subscribed to the channel, we do appreciate you a great deal. We say welcome to the community, and I hope you will enjoy your time with us here. Then also, on that note, I want to say thank you to our usual suspects, people that are looking out for our content every single day, people that never miss a broadcast, people that, are not everyday people, but at least they are semi-regular people on the channel. Even the non-regulars, we still appreciate you a great deal. Those that watch our broadcasts long after they've ended, thank you so much for always sparing the time to, be with us and connect with us on this forum. So allow me to have our audios tested, and then we will get started with today's conversation because there's plenty to talk about this morning, and our conversation will take us, it will take us to Newcastle. We'll discuss about Newcastle and more. Then that very discussion could lead us to Man United. It could lead us to down a rabbit hole, and we'll get to discuss everything from the Premier League. So kindly indulge me as we get the conversation going. But in a special way, Ash Yadab. Hi, Ash Yadab. I like this very nice Takul. Thank you so much, Ash Yadab. There. Remind me, you're from Pakistan or India? I think from one of those two countries, but most probably India. I think you said India. But it's good to have you, Yadab, on the broadcast. So, like I said, in a special way, I want to send my special shout outs to Pedri 8, the Barcelona fan there. I want to say thank you, Testa from South Africa in Gauteng, and every single one of you that was part of yesterday's broadcast. Thank you for making it worthwhile. This morning we will be speaking about, like I said, Newcastle. Why call him Takul? No. I didn't call him Takul. I just read the message that his name is Yadav. Oh, why call him Takul? Is that a bad word? Is that a demeaning word? I don't know. But I've seen it. He's written it multiple times, so I do not know. I do not know what it means. If somebody knows the language better than I do, kindly let me know what the word means. What does Takul mean? Nick Issa to Liverpool. That is still in the pipelines. Alim Kamali. Why call him Takul? Thank you, Alim. Thank you so much, Alim Kamali. Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly consider subscribing to the channel and help us go to 2,000 subscribers on the channel. You say it means bold. Oh, it means bold, but I do not have a bald head. Anyway, Majestic Football Kids says, hi babes. Hi Majestic Football Kids. Where are you joining us from, Majestic Football Kids? Yadav says, it's very Takul. I have very nice. This life is talking and very wrong together. Okay, whatever that means. John Boy says Takul, whatever that means. Somebody said it means bold. Wanna do something tonight? I don't know what you mean by that. You've got this. Good luck to 2K. Thank you so much, Kamali. You are a very nice person. Thank you so much, John Boy. So for those of you that have just joined the community, thank you so much for sparing a moment of time to be with us on this channel. It's a football channel where we get to do talk about football from the Premier League and beyond. We get to talk about transfers. We get to talk about your favorite teams, but also and football incidents that are happening all over the world. Jones said, I subscribed and like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really, I do appreciate you a great deal. And every single one of you that is part of this podcast. For those of you that are wondering, I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda, a small landlocked country in the eastern part of Africa, in the capital, Kampala, also dubbed the Pearl of Africa. That's where I'm coming to you live. And it's 20 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. I know for our friends in India, it's probably around 10:20, around that time. For our people in the UK, it's about 8:20 a.m. For our people in the USA, it could be nighttime, but it's all good. Keep that way. Slaudas, the Mexico, Luis Flores. Hi, Luis Flores. Good to have you. My command of the Spanish language or even Portuguese is not good, but thank you so much for sending that through. Alim says my dad is from Kenya. Wow, Kenya, our next door neighbors there. A very lovely country. They do love football a great deal. In fact, very soon next month, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania are going to be hosting the Africa Nations Championships that are going to be played across the three, different East African countries. Those games are going to start in early August, starting August the 2nd. And this is partly in preparation for the three East African nations to also host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. So they will be the host countries for that edition if everything checks out well, and I hope they will do. So Kenya will be in action against DR Congo, and I saw their ordinary tickets have already sold out. So beautiful there. I love Uganda. Thank you so much. So speaking of the CHAN tournament, it's a competition that has 4 groups. Some groups have 5 teams, and then one group has 4 teams. Yes. So Group A has teams like Angola, DRC Congo. It has Kenya. It has Morocco. It has Zambia. That's Group A. Group B has Burkina Faso, Central African Republic, Madagascar, Mauritania, and Tanzania. Tanzania being one of the hosts. While Group C, which has Uganda as the host nation, it also has countries like Algeria. So Uganda will open their campaign against Algeria at Nambole Stadium. Guinea is also in the same group, and Niger as well as South Africa. And then Group D has Group D has the Republic of Congo. It also has Nigeria, Senegal, and Sudan. By Sudan, we mean the Sudan of the North, and not South Sudan. So yeah, that's how it is looking. In terms of opening fixtures for match day 1, Tanzania will be up against Burkina Faso. Kenya will be up against DR Congo. Tanzania's game is on Saturday, while that of Kenya is on Sunday. Morocco will be up against Angola, while Madagascar will face off with Mauritania. Niger will be up against Guinea, while Uganda, like I said, on Monday, 4th August, will be up against Algeria. Congo will be up against Sudan, while Senegal will play Nigeria. That's for match day 1, in as far as the Africa Nations Championship is concerned. The current reigning champions are Senegal. So now, for those of you that are not aware, DRC Congo is not so far away from Kenya. It's only separated. It's only separated by Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. Those are the countries that are in between Kenya and DRC Congo. And in fact, Kenya is one of the major trading partners for the DRC. So that's the context. That's about the region. Even DRC is within the same component of the East African community. So yeah, although they also subscribe to the SADC region, that's the Southern Africa Economic, I think something like that. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay, away from the African Nations Championships, this will get to be talking about them a lot more as the competition begins, as we get on and we see the fan turn up and everything like that. But it does promise to be an entertaining tournament. So quickly moving on to the top story this morning, and that's everything to do with Newcastle, because they have agreed the deal to sign Aaron Ramsdale from Southampton on an initial season-long loan with an option to buy there. So I do not know whether that option will eventually turn into an obligation, as the two can be two different things. But according to David Austin of The Athletic, he did break that was last night, that Newcastle had reached a full agreement with Southampton to sign Aaron Ramsdale, the 27-year-old England goalkeeper, will join on a season-long loan plus a sizable fee and an option to buy, permission given from the Saints to travel and undergo his medical and finalize a transfer. I've said this before and I'll repeat it again. I think Aaron Ramsdale is one of the luckiest guys that there is in football. The reason as to why I say he's unlucky, he's been relegated to the Championship with 3 teams. That's Bournemouth, Sheffield United, and Southampton. However, for him, on all the occasions that he's been relegated, he's managed to bounce back to the Premier League with a different team. When he got relegated, I think initially with Sheffield United, he joined Bournemouth. And when he got relegated with Bournemouth, he got the chance to join Arsenal in a deal that was in the region of about £30 million. He spent about, I think, 3 years at Arsenal. Yes, he spent 3 years at Arsenal, and then he got sold to Southampton. That was before the start, I think, of last campaign. And after getting relegated with Southampton, he is back to the Premier League with a different team. That's Newcastle. Now, Newcastle have a good number of goalkeepers to their ranks already. The likes of Martin Dubravka, the Slovenian goalkeeper. Then, is it? Not Slovenian, but Slovakian goalkeeper. That's Martin Dubravka. They also have Nick Pope, who is their number 1 goalkeeper. They have John Rudy, who is like the 3rd choice goalkeeper within their ranks. So they're coming in. They also have Odiesi Blahodimos, something like that. Forgive me if I mispronounce his name, but he is one of the players that is within the Newcastle ranks in as far as goalkeepers are concerned. So, so for me, if Aaron Ramsdale is coming in to join Newcastle, it begs the question: is there going to be room for Martin Dubravka or Nick Pope, or one of them will have to leave? Alim, you say he's a solid goalkeeper, an Arsenal fan. I wish him good luck. Alim, are you an Arsenal fan? But thank you so much for that submission. And yes, I've also been saying the same thing, that Ramsdale is a good goalkeeper who unfortunately has, for majority of his playing career, perhaps has not played with the best of teams. Because if you've been relegated 3 times, then that means it doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad player, but also it means that you've been unlucky. But because he's that good a goalkeeper, that's why he's always sought after by teams in the Premier League every time he gets relegated. Because it's not every day that you get to sign to a team like Arsenal. And I remember at the time when he joined Arsenal, Mikel Arteta received lots of criticism, both from within the Arsenal fan base, but also on commentators and speculators or people that follow the game as much as we do. They did criticize the deal, saying, why would Arsenal sign a goalkeeper like Aaron Ramsdale? It wasn't good enough, and things of that nature. And yet, when you look at his 3-year spell at Arsenal, I think out of the first 2 years, he did do really, really well. He was always a 7 out of 10 kind of performance guy. Of course, he had a few games where he sort of had not a good day in office. It does happen even to the best of goalkeepers in the world. It just happened to David Villa in the preseason friendly between Arsenal and Newcastle. So those things happen. But overall, I think he is a very, very good goalkeeper. And I think he will really, really rival Nick Pope at Newcastle. But speaking of Nick Pope, in the wake of Newcastle signing Aaron Ramsdale, reports have emerged that Manchester United could turn their attention to signing Nick Pope as a competitor for Andre Onana. Now, Manchester United over the course of the summer have been linked with multiple goalkeepers, including Casenecchi, that's the 24-year-old Italian goalkeeper at Atlanta. Andre Lunin at Real Madrid is among the goalkeepers that have been linked with the potential move to Manchester United. Recently, the emerging reports of Gianluigi Donnarumma, who is also linked with the potential move to Galatasaray and Chelsea as well. There's another goalkeeper called, I think he's called Sene Leymans. Sene Lemans, that's from Royal Antwerp. Is another goalkeeper that has been linked with the potential move to Manchester United. They've been closely monitoring him. So let's wait and see what final decision Ruben Amorim and his recruitment team led by Jason Aito will come down to when it comes to a decision for a goalkeeper. But Man United remain actively looking out in the market for a goalkeeper. Are you a United fan? No, I'm not a Manchester United fan. To the contrary, I'm a football fan first, and then everything else follows. After being a football fan, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm a Real Madrid fan. For those of you that are wondering, but yeah, I love football first before anything else. So Alim, you say, no, sorry, Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, good to have you back on the channel. He's one of our, he's becoming one of our usual suspects on the channel here. I do appreciate you a great deal. He does live in England, according to what he says there. And I would want to believe, based on his name there, that he is a Manchester United fan or predominantly a Rashford fan. Bro, do you remember me from yesterday? And by the way, it is 7:26 in England. Oh, yes, 7:26. Yes, I think I had said it was 8, but yeah, it's 7. Oh, thank you so much for that point of correction. Alim says, yes, come on, you Gunners. Alim is an Arsenal fan. Yadav says, Thaku. I like this very popular. Is that rice or nice? Sharai, Takul. Then you say it is 9:27 in your country. Yes, that's true. Then Alim says, okay, I've answered that. I do remember you, Marcus Rashford. Alim says, what do you think United should sign? Who do you think United should sign for goalkeeper? Let me respond to that. Kripul, is it Kripul? Is that how you pronounce your name? Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. But do you think Arsenal will win something this season? I think that's the hope for every Arsenal fan and a minder. But let me analyze that in a bit. Who do you think is the most loyal soccer player? There's been many of those. I think I've looked at players like Francesco Totti at SC Roma. I look at players like Steven Gerrard at Liverpool as one of the most loyal players. I look at players like Marco Reus at Borussia Dortmund. They were really, really loyal to their clubs. Players like Thomas Muller have been loyal to Bayern Munich. I know he's now joining the Vancouver Whitecaps. Players like Manuel Neuer have been really, really loyal to the club. I think Sergio Ramos was really, really loyal to Real Madrid. Same applied for Gerard Piqué at Barcelona. So there is a whole host of those players that have been really loyal. And the most humble player. I think Mesut Ozil is one of those. Lionel Messi is one of those. Very, very humble guys. Others have sort of slipped my mind. But yeah, there's a couple of humble players that oftentimes when they are in their respective dressing rooms. N'Golo Kante, yes, Alim, thank you for reminding me of N'Golo Kante. There are those kinds of players who everybody literally speaks very glowingly about in terms of how they behave and relate with the rest of their teams. Okay, let me answer some of your questions. Okay, I need to retreat back. And you said, who do I think the goalkeeper that Manchester United should sign? Under the ideal world, I would recommend that they sign a goalkeeper like Gianluigi Donnarumma. Very, very good goalkeeper. Only 26 years of age. He's left with 1 year to his PSG contract. Of course, PSG wouldn't want to lose him, but because they know that they could lose him, they are pursuing a deal for Chavaria from Olympic Lyon, I think. No, from Lille, I think he's coming in from Lille. That's the expectation, but they are preparing for that. And I think he is a good goalkeeper. Yes, he's called Lucas Chavalia. Yes, that's the goalkeeper they are pursuing. But also, Andre Lunin wouldn't be a bad goalkeeper. He's a very good goalkeeper. The question is whether he would be open to leaving a team like Real Madrid. I've not watched enough of Casanetti at Atlanta to really pass judgment, but he is one of those well-rated goalkeepers. So then Emi Martinez, a very, very good goalkeeper, Premier League proven, experienced, World Cup winner, 32 years of age, although at the fee of about £40 million, you get to feel that he is worth it given his pedigree in the game, but it's also a little high in a way. But he's a kind of goalkeeper that you can sign, and you have a solid goalkeeper in your post at for the next 4 years. And by the way, Man United have previously, signed very, players in that age. Remember, I think when they signed, what's the goalkeeper, Edwin van der Sar. I think he was coming in from Fulham. I think it was Fulham at the age of about 32. Robin van Persie again at the age of 30. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was already in his 30s. Edson Cavani, and these are players that came to Manchester United and had a good impact on the team. Then I'm going to get your comments in a bit. Please indulge me. Searching new things. Hi, I'm Tayabi. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Tayabi. Where are you joining us from? Please consider liking the broadcast, but also subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Do you think Arsenal will win something this season? Nothing is ever guaranteed. The same way, teams that we know are capable of winning trophies season in, season out, sometimes miss out. Let's take the example of Bayern Munich in Germany during the 2023-2024 season. I think they walked out empty-handed, and yet for every start of the season, it's one of the teams that we always think are going to win a trophy because of their dominance in the German Bundesliga, but also are trying to transpose that onto the European scene. And so it's not cast in stone, but I think Arsenal will do whatever it takes, at least to walk away with a piece of silverware. Now, depending on whatever piece of silverware they do walk away with, it may be satisfying or not convincing enough for their fans. For example, if Arsenal go into the season and win the Carabao Cup or win the FA Cup or even both the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, I do not think it will be convincing enough to their fans and to Mikel Arteta critics overall, because their demand, their hunger now is for major silverware, and by major silverware, we're talking about either the UEFA Champions League, which they've never won, or the Premier League title, which they last won in 2004. So it's been what? Coming on to 20, it's been 21 years ever since they last won the Premier League title. Of course, they've never won the UEFA Champions League title. They've only managed to reach the final back in 2006, losing to Barcelona by 2-1 in Paris. Then, of course, they've reached the semi-finals on 3 different occasions. In 2006, then in 2008-2009 season, when they met Manchester United and lost by 4-1 on total aggregate, they lost by 0-0 at Old Trafford and 3-1 at the Emirates, including that, magnanimous free kick by Cristiano Ronaldo. Then, of course, last season when they reached to the semi-finals and got knocked out by PSG by 3-1 on aggregate score. So that's how I look at it. But I think they'll really compete. I'm waiting to see how the entire transfer window wraps up for all teams for me to give my season predictions, especially when it comes to the Premier League table and that kind of thing. But so far, the kind of business they've done in the transfer window, I can say is really commendable. Getting a striker, which was a top priority, that one is over the line. Victor Gyökeres, maybe we'll get to discuss about him a bit. I see there's a comment from Kripul. Sorry, I hope that's how you pronounce the name. About Victor Gyökeres. So they've signed Martin Zubimendi, who I think is going to be a very important player to this Arsenal side. Then they've added Noni Madueke, who for squad purposes and player rotation to give the likes of Bukayo Saka some bit of resting time to manage their game time is going to be very crucial. You have Christian Nogat, who comes with a Premier League experience at the age of 31. Of course, he's not playing at the high level of the UEFA Champions League and a team of the magnitude of Arsenal, but I think he's coped up well based on the couple of minutes we've seen him in pre-season. Then also you look at the backup centre back. That's Christian Mosquera. Of course, it's too early for him to say for him. There's a lot he needs to learn. But from what we've seen of him previously at Valencia, he's a very capable player. Kepa Arrizabalaga is a very good backup goalkeeper for David Raya, bearing in mind that he's only been signed for a shy £5 million. So really commendable. But let's wait and see how Arsenal will fare, whether they will indeed walk away with a piece of silverware. But my good guess says at least they will walk away with something. I think they're going to be intentional, even in the small cup competitions, to try and push. Last season, they reached the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup and got knocked out by Newcastle, in terrible fashion, by the way, because Newcastle beat them home and away by 2-0 in respective fixtures for a 4-0 aggregate. And then they got knocked out of the FA Cup at the hands of Manchester United. They had a good game. They just couldn't score, including the captain, Martin Odegaard, missing a penalty. Altai Baindia in that Manchester United goal, saving that penalty. The game went to penalties, and United, I think, went through. That was, I think, at the fourth bar last season. So I think this season they'll be much better. I think we can't stress enough what they had to face last season, because I felt they had a very small squad, but also they suffered a great number of injuries. Then also, okay, I think I've answered that. Okay. I think I read the country comment. Okay. Akripol says, I'll stick around for that then. Thoughts on Barcelona this coming season? I think Barcelona are going to continue from where they stopped last season. Shmail is back with us. Hi, Shmail. Good to have you back with us. Do as the owner like the broadcast. I think Barcelona are going to pick up the slack from where they left off last season. I think they're going to be very electric. I do not think anything is going to change within their playing system. I think they will be again high goal scorers. They do retain their significant players in Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Dani Olmo, Fermin Lopez, Ferran Torres. They've added Marcus Rashford to their ranks. Pau Kubasi, Pedri, Gavi, Frankie de Jong, Eric Garcia, of course, Bokshek Chesney has signed a new contract, 2-year contract. They've added in Joan Garcia, although they are yet to register him with La Liga, but arguably the best goalkeeper in the Spanish La Liga last season. So I think there will be a very, very good side. I think Atletico Madrid will really, really push those big two between Real Madrid and Barcelona for the La Liga title, given the kind of recruits they've made, including the likes of Mateo Rutegui from Atlanta, that's the left back, the likes of Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis, the likes of Alex Baena coming in from Villarreal, that's the right winger slash attacking midfielder. He's one of those players that I think would have seen come to the Premier League. One of the names that has gone quite in this transfer window is Oihan Sanchez from Athletic Bilbao. I do not know why teams have not made a move for him, because I think there is a very, very good player there in Oihan Sanchez. Then quickly, I think I've responded to the question about Barcelona next season. You say, yes, he is very solid and young. Chavaria, Alim, they are confirming to us. Thank you so much for that addition. Not Kante, Sadio Mane. Yes, Sadio Mane is one of those humble players that we've seen also on the continent. Then searching, okay, I think I read that message because himself tired. Marcus Rashford says, who do you think is going to win the UEFA Champions League? For me, it's Barcelona, PSG, Liverpool. Those are my top 3 picks. And for the Premier League, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United. I think asking Man United to win the Premier League title would be a tall order. Not that they cannot, surprise everyone and go ahead to win it, but for Manchester United to be, given as a Premier League title favorites, I do not think the champions, their Premier League title favorites, although they're going to be playing only in the Premier League and they will wait for the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. They'll have no European engagements, which will give them ample time to sort of every time regroup. It's always, I won't say always easy, but it's always an advantage for teams that are only playing in the Premier League, because sometimes you're facing opponents that have been playing in the Europa League on Thursday, that played in the UEFA Champions League on Wednesday, and sometimes, especially when they played away from home in the Premier League, in the Champions League or Europa League or UEFA Conference League, and then their subsequent fixture in the Premier League is also away from home. So usually that means a lot of traveling for some of these players. So usually you get that bit of advantage. So I think it will give Man United the advantage. So far, my prediction is that they could finish within the top 10. I'm yet to see enough, but what I saw in their game against West Ham United, I think was commendable based on what I saw in that game against West Ham United. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on in regards to how the warfare in the coming days. So also, oh sorry, uh, in regards to the UEFA Champions League, yes, Barcelona. I think Barcelona will compete really for the UEFA Champions League. PSG are still capable of winning it. Although I do not remember the last time a first-time winner won the UEFA Champions League title back to back. I look at the team like Chelsea when they won it in 2012. They continued to be a decent side, but the subsequent season, that was the 2012-2013, they even could not qualify for the knockout stages. That's how they ended up in the UEFA Europa League and went on to win it under the charges of interim Rafael Benitez Maures. I think they beat up against Benfica in that final 2013 by 2-1. I stand to be corrected, but that's what I do sort of recall. So it took them more than 10 years to win it again in 2021. And when you look at in recent times, it's only Real Madrid that have defended that title, but also it's because they were not winning it for the first time. I remember who else has won it as a first timer in recent times. Manchester City, have they defended it again? Not yet. They won it in 2023. You look at Inter Milan, they last won it in 2010 under Jose Mourinho, when they beat up against Bayern Munich in the final. They've not yet won it again. So it's the Champions League title is not always easy to defend, but I think PSG will remain contenders because they have a very stable team. It's a team of youngsters. A majority of their players are 22, 23. Of course, plus the experience of the likes of Ousmane Dembele, 28, Fabian Ruiz, 28, Gianluigi Donnarumma, 26, Marquinhos, 31. But when you look at the likes of William Pacho, 23, Bradley Bacola, 22, Desiree Doué, 19, Kivicha Kvaratskhelia, 24, João Neves, 19, Vitinha is about, I think, 25. So it's a very good composition of players. When you look at Warren Zaire-Emery, their backup players, Mayu, Lee Kang-in, Goncalo Ramos, very, very good squad, really. I think they will compete. Sorry. Then you said Liverpool. I think Liverpool have also assembled a very, very good team. Although I feel that they are still short when it comes to their defense and their overall midfield. I think they need an additional player in that central midfield. The other day we were having a discussion about them needing a midfielder, and I think it was Maestro Pedri who disagreed with that view, which I respected. But for me, in my view, I still think they need an additional body in that midfield. I can see we have AR. Good to have you on the broadcast, AR. Kindly subscribe to the channel, but it's good to have you on the community. Then okay, guys, I'm trying as much as I can to respond to your comments, so bear with me if you feel that I've taken longer to read your comment. Okay, then for the Premier League title, I think Chelsea, Arsenal will be contenders. I think they will be contenders, but Man United, I'm not yet convinced. Alim, you said it's 2 a.m. in Canada, so I'm going to bed. But it was very nice to watch. Good luck and have a great day. Thank you so much, Alim, for chipping in the time, given that it is that late in the night for you. But we wish you the very best of luck, and we hope to see you back on the channel very soon. Krupul, you say I think with Gyökeres signing and Eze coming in as well, Arsenal are well positioned to win major trophy this season. The Eberechi Eze deal is one they are still pondering, and I think if they do get him, he will really provide a good competition to Martin Odegaard, but also down to the left wing to the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Leandro Trossard if they are to keep them. But I do think if they do bring in a left winger, or even in addition to Eberechi Eze, then Leandro Trossard or Gabriel Martinelli will be let go. Yesterday night, for those of you that were part of our discussion, we discussed about Borussia Dortmund's pursuit for the 30-year-old Belgian international. They are keen on signing Leandro Trossard. But yeah, if they were to get Eberechi Eze at the age of 27, You see, that's the kind of age where players play with maturity, less complacency sometimes, and they know that their career is coming to the climax, so they want to do everything it takes to have that anti-climax that is really, really good. Uh, to have the sorry to have the climax that is really, really good. So when you get a player like Ebeleche Ize, who by the way I think he needs to add more goals and assists to his name, which I think he did last season. I think he scored 8 goals and provided 8 assists in the Premier League alone, and also scored a couple of goals in the FA Cup as they won it, including the goal in the final against Manchester City. Then you say, okay, I think I've read that comment. Kupoli, you say, at one point they had 7 attackers out injured. To be fair, yes, that's true. Hi, Shmail. Okay, Shmail is back with us. Did you say Martin Odegaard? Yes, I mentioned Martin Odegaard at some point. I do not know in what context you may come back to counter the argument, but yeah, I did mention him at some point. Shmail, a Pakistan rival, India, full Pakistanese rival India fooled everyone, and they rejected Xavi and Pep, but the people realized a 19-year-old student was acting that he was Xavi using Chat GPT. By the way, I saw those reports that that Xavi had asked for the Indian, I think, national team job, and apparently he had been turned down. Okay, that's a new take. Thank you for giving us that update. If it was a student masquerading as Xavi. Then Kupo says Madrid have strengthened too. La Liga is going to be very interesting this year. Real Madrid have strengthened, although I do not think they've strengthened enough yet. Of course, they brought in Dinhausen, they brought in Alvaro Carreras. Those are the players so far that I know of that they brought in. Kindly update me if there's any name that I've missed. But Gonzalo Garcia is an academy player from Castilla. Then you look at they still have Vinicius Junior, Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Aurelio Tchouameni, Fede Valverde. They have Eduardo Camavinga. Although I still feel they need an attacking midfielder in that team to help create more chances and to help that midfield, because every time they suffer in defense, Aurelio Tchouameni is pulled back, which sometimes costs them. Then that defense, Dinhausen is a very good addition. I'm waiting to see whether Raul Asensio will be trusted next season. For what's his name? Is it Fran Garcia? Down the left hand side, will have to compete for his place with Alvaro Carreras. Then at right back, they could let go of Falan Mendy. They could let go of Brahim Diaz. They could let go of Dani Ceballos. They could let go of Enric, whether or not or on a permanent deal. Those are some of the expected outgoings from there. But I think I still feel they need a player or two to add to their squad, Real Madrid. And also, given that Xabi Alonso is new to this team, I'm really waiting to see how he does cope, one, with the pressure of being a Real Madrid manager, but two, how he assembles his team to compete week in, week out, both in the Spanish Liga, but also in the UEFA Champions League as well. But Real Madrid have always been a team with wins. When it comes to the rankings of who could win the Spanish La Liga next season, I think for me, I have Barcelona as number 1, Atletico Madrid second, and Real Madrid third. In terms of who is most suited favorably to compete for that La Liga title, but let's wait and see. Okay, Rashford to Barcelona. Here we go. That's already a done deal. He's already played for Barcelona and doing a friendly game that they won by 3-1 against Bissau Kobe. That team, they won that game by 3-1. It's Tanishi Bistis. It's Tanishi Bistis. Hi Tanishi, good to have you. Rashford. Okay, I've read that comment. Okay, Shmai says Rashi is very inconsistent and has his last season was 2-3 years ago. Yeah, his best last season was 2022-2023. Yes, that's when he last had a very, very good season. He scored more than he scored about 30 goals across all competitions. Sorry about that. I do have a cold that I'm struggling with, but we'll continue. Then also, Shmail, you say Arsenal need to get a better left winger. That I do agree with you. Suddenly, for me, my personal pick, and this is as selfish as it would come from an Arsenal fan, my preference for Arsenal for that left wing would have been Rafael Leao. I would take Rafael Leao. He wouldn't come cheap, but I think he is a player that you can take a bet on. Rafael Leao, especially bearing in mind that PSG are not going to let go Bradley Bacola. People have asked me why not Rodrigo Goes. I mean, Rodrigo Goes is a very, very good player. He will be a scope for any team that will eventually get him. But for me, if you ask me between Rafael Leao and Rodrigo Goes, unfortunately, I'm going to go with Rafael Leao because of the work he does, because of his all-round game. But naturally, Rodrigo is a more talented player. But I'll go with Rafael Leao, bearing in mind the physical needs of the Premier League, the way Arsenal play, and how every player is important to their press in terms of trying to win the ball back and things to do with that line. Then you say United are nowhere near winning the league. No offense. I think that I agree with you. Arsenal are signing Eze for the left wing, Schmeier. The first reports we got in this transfer window is that Arsenal's pursuit for Ebeleche Eze was not part and parcel of their pursuit for a left winger. That's what we are getting. That's when the rumors for Rodrigo Goes were really, really high. So please do not be surprised if Arsenal go ahead and sign Ebeleche Eze, but also add a left winger to their ranks. But of course, that will also involve some outgoings out of the team for the club, perhaps to balance their books. Then also, okay, what comment? Where did I end in regards to these comments? Sometimes they're scrolling up fast. Okay. Let me read a couple of them, and then I'll respond in a whole. Wow, that's. I think I'm getting lost on where I last read the comments. Okay, one love, good people. Rashford is the least inconsistent player. I think he disagrees with Shmael. Okay, I think Eze is better as a central attacking midfielder or CM, but I think you mean creative midfielder. But we'll be happy if we get him. Thank you. I do agree with you on that. Football Tribe guy is better than Ruben Amorim. Thanks for the compliment. Kapul says he's actually a very effective player on the wing. Shman, it's a great signing. Hopefully, it lights a fire under Martinelli. Yeah, I think Martinelli is a good player, but oftentimes has fallen short, especially in the last 2 seasons. Because we go back between him and Martin Odegaard, we often go back to the 2022-2023 campaign when they all scored 15 goals, which was their best, turnover in Arsenal jersey, and we say he should be looking to post the same numbers season in, season out, or perhaps even better improve on those numbers, which hasn't been the case for me. But also, the reason for that has been because of the shift. Apologies for the background noise. Somebody is riding the bike. I do not know if that has come through on the head. But anyways, when it comes to Gabriel Martinelli, I think part of it has also come in the shift in the way Arsenal have tweaked their system, the way Mikel Arteta sort of, deploys him. You can see he seems to have lost his confidence, at least if last season is anything to go by, in terms of taking on players in 1v1 situations, but also his clinicalness in front of goal has fallen short in recent times. So somebody needs to lit a fire behind him to say, look here, if you do not improve, then your spot is as good as taken, and you're going to be a squad player. So I think I'll agree to that. Okay. Okay. I think okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he will be an upgrade on Martinelli. Martinelli lacks finishing and his crossing needs to be better. Do you think PSG can achieve sextuple? What's a sextuple? Indulge me, Marcus. There, that's a new term for me. Sextuple. Do you mean six? How many titles are those? And where would they be playing? Because you play in Coupe de France, you play I think Champions de France, then you play the League One, then the UEFA Champions League. Remember, next summer there's not going to be the FIFA Club World Cup, so really, and maybe the UEFA Super Cup. There, they have a date with Tottenham Hotspurs. They could win that one, unless that's what you meant. But we will see. We will see. But they are capable of getting it all. Then, okay, there is a great player inside Martinelli. It's just about unlocking that potential. To be honest, I do agree with you on that. Shbar says, I hope he unlocks it then. Liverpool need Gay, Stila, Isak, and Fofana to challenge for trophies. Wow, that would be quite the addition. Do you mean Malik Fofana from Olympic Lyon? I think that's the player you mean. When Magnay, that's the Crystal Palace captain, 24 years of age. Stila, I think you mean Angelo Stila from Stuttgart, who has been previously linked to the potential move to Real Madrid, although they seem to have pulled out of that. Ashmal, you went and wrote in Arabic, so allow me to skip that comment because I can't afford to read it. I do not know how to read it. Anyways, so, but yeah, that would be quite the addition. Then Isaac, you also said, you added Isaac. Guys, the other day we had a discussion again about Alexander Isaac, and the title to that was Too Many Cooks Can't Spoil the Soup. Because I also feel in some way that if you pile Liverpool with so many stars, their desire to shine may sort of impact on how they play as a team. We've seen PSG struggle through that, especially when it came to the European scene, in the UEFA Champions League, when they had a cohort of stars, Neymar, Messi, you had Di Maria in the same team, Mbappe, and that kind of composition, really. We've seen, we've seen multiple reports coming in from Marca about Real Madrid, about how Xabi Alonso wants to fight the egoism in that Real Madrid squad, because you have players like Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Jude Bellingham, perhaps, although I feel Bellingham is a bit of a humble guy, who all want to be the star of the team, which sometimes impacts them on how they play. It brings a bit of selfishness and that kind of thing. So then Malik Fofana, yeah, very, very, promising young talent there. Everton wanted to sign him, although apparently he's so far not said yes to them because he's waiting for offers from teams in the UEFA Champions League. And he had been also previously linked with the potential move to Chelsea, but so far Chelsea seem to have moved on to other targets like Xavi Simons. They remain interested in Alejandro Garnacho. Then also it could be that, but you never know with Chelsea, anything can still happen. They could still make a move for him. Chelsea is that one kind of team that would sign any player available at their disposal. But yeah, then I think, yeah, those would be my sentiments or feelings about Liverpool making those additions the way you highlighted them. Then quickly, okay, I think yes. Okay, I'm trying to see where the comments I read last, so that I did not skip out on some of your submissions. I like him because he's confident, quick, and direct. I here, I don't hear the end product. Shmal, okay. Liverpool will get cooked defensively if Ibrahim Konate or VVD gets injured. Then what will happen? Like last season, Gabriel White and Saliba got injured. We had to change player positions. Yeah, usually when you lose your key stars, and that's why I think For me, I think Liverpool need two centre backs because remember they've already lost Jorel Kresha to Bayer Leverkusen, who was a backup centre back. Yet Joe Gomez, who they still have well within their ranks, is injury prone, and as we speak, he missed that game against AC Milan through injury. So yeah, okay. Then you say Kripal has flair. He has flair. Okay, he has flair, and best only he performs once every 5 games. That front three is crazy. Eze Yokari Saka, I think it would be a crazy one. Okay, we shouldn't have spent that much money on Madueke. Eze costs like 11 million more on him. Guys, what you people are forgetting, the thing about Noni Madueke, I think people are not opposed to the position he's brought into field, but they are opposed to the kind of player that he is and where he came from. And for me, I feel or think that's a wrong way to look at it. One, for example, how many seasons? I think for the last 2 seasons or even before that, we've been all saying that Bukayo Saka needs a rest. He needs to be rotated. Why? Because he was playing way too many games and almost playing 90 minutes every single game. He needed a backup player. And when Mikel Arteta and Arsenal's recruitment team, searched around, they zeroed down to Noni Madueke. Excuse me. So they zeroed down to Noni Madueke, and I think he is a very, very good player because he is a backup for Bukayo Saka. But also, if he fights good enough, he could find his way into that Arsenal team. He could break through it, really. So, when you say it's okay to disagree with how much Arsenal spent on him, but I think for Bukayo Saka to have a backup, it will do very, very good for the team rotation. Because that's one of the advantages that teams like Manchester City have had over the years when they've been dominating the Premier League. They've had players like Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, rotating within that squad. Then I'm trying to remember, but you had Ilkay Gundogan, you had Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, all in the same team, and every time it came to player rotation, you remember when they were winning that, I think it was the 2022 league title, which they had to win on the final day when they came from 2 goals down to beat up against Aston Villa. You remember the player that changed the tide of that game? It was Zinchenko, who came off the bench. Ilkay Gundogan scoring a brace in that game. So look at it that way. When you look at the average number of minutes that Bukayo Saka had managed between those seasons, it was way more than the likes of Phil Foden. Why? Because Pep Guardiola had the players to rotate within that squad without losing the quality of the players he was, rotating, and that's how they remain competitive. So you have a player rested, and I remember, especially in those 2 seasons when Phil Foden was blossoming, sometimes Pep Guardiola would leave him on the bench, or and he doesn't even bring him on as a substitute. And people were, going haywire, saying, how do you bench your best player? But what he was doing was rotating the player, giving him rest. And every time he came back much stronger. So Arsenal do need that when it comes to players like Bukayo Saka. So why do you critique the signing of Noni Madueke and how much it costs? Bear in mind that for a while, Arsenal have not had a backup for Bukayo Saka. I know the argument has been, you have Ethan Nwaneri, but Ethan Nwaneri is more of an attacking central midfielder as opposed to being a right winger. Yes, he's played there and to some degree of success, but let's not forget the overarching picture in this particular case. Then, also, I've seen some people trying to throw in the card of Max Dorman. Until yesterday, majority of you didn't know about this kid. So please, let's also reflect on some of those, contexts as we make the argument against or for Noni Madueke, depending on how you view it. Okay, Liverpool. Okay, I think I've read that. Is it okay? I think I've read that as well. Why doesn't anyone sign Joan Felipe Mateta? He's a bit of a late developer. but he is a good striker. Who would you rather sign, Joan Felipe Mateta? He's a bit of a late developer. Some people forget that he's been at Crystal Palace for 5 years, I think for about 5 years, and he's only blossomed under the charges of Oliver Glasner. Maresca wanted to keep Madueke. Fall, do not fall for Chelsea fans. Abanta is a backup for Saka. That I do agree with you. We had Ethan Manelli. There he scored bangers. Yes, he did score the bangers, but like I said, he's more an attacking midfielder. And also, let's not forget that sometime last season, when the pressure was sort of turned on, sometimes he had some bad games, and towards the tail end of the season, he hadn't been as good. I significantly remember one of those games against Newcastle where he was brought on in that 1-0 defeat against Newcastle. He was one of those players on the pitch, and things didn't happen for him. And like I said, for you to compete, because at the end of the season, it could be a game of fine margins where you're winning the Premier League title or losing it by just a point or 2 points, like the way it was in the 2023-2024 season when Man City won it by a margin of 2 points. So if it's going to boil down to that, then you need quality players. That if you have Ethan Nwaneri dropping in form and then Bukayo Saka is injured or tired, you have a player like Noni Madueke that you can throw into, sort of tilt the balance of scales in your favor. So kindly look at it in that angle as well. Raul Asensio is the most overrated player. People say he is the next Ramos. The next Ramos, Ramos disrespected his word. He's a player of great potential. Still young, but remember, Carlo Ancelotti had been reluctant to give him playing time because, of course, he had Eder Militao, he had David Alaba, Rudiger, and he thought he would rely on those. But they ended up getting one too many injuries. That at one point he only had Antonio Rudiger as the only left, natural defender. That's how he turned to Raul Asensio because then Aurelio Tchouameni, who had been chipping in at centre back, also got injured at some point. Then AR says Liverpool have Ekitike, Isak, and Salah, and Florian Wirtz's creativity. Yes, for me, Isak is not yet a Liverpool player. Let's bear that in mind. Cody Gakpo, Chiesa, Nunes, and Rio on the bench. Rio, who is Rio? Correct me. Somebody, AR, kindly correct me. Who is Rio? But anyways, Chiesa could leave and he's looking for a move back to Italy. Like I keep saying, it's a World Cup season. At the end of the season, we'll be going for the World Cup, and majority of these players want consistent playing time. And Federico Chiesa, more than anybody else, does acknowledge that while he loves to be at Liverpool, he is not going to get the consistent playing time at Liverpool. That would earn him perhaps a call to the Italian national team, who, by the way, are now under the charges of Gennaro Gattuso because they sacked Luciano Spalletti. Liverpool will come behind Arsenal in the Premier League. We have a good defense and our fullbacks are balanced. Liverpool's fullbacks play like wingers. Okay, that I do not disagree with you, but I think Milos Kakes could be defensively better compared to Jeremy Frimpong. But yeah, that's a good point. I think something is happening at Arsenal and they are going to play on the front foot this season. Let's wait and see. People, I think it's happening this year. We will win. That's according to Smile. AR says, what about Kakes and Bradley? I'm waiting to see who starts between Andy Robertson and Milos Kakes. But Conor Bradley is also a good, decent right back, but I think so far he will remain as a backup to Jeremy Frimpong, given the attacking threat that Jeremy Frimpong could offer the team. Okay, Shumail was responding to AR saying Kakes is attacking and Bradley won't start. Clip says Frimpong is the right back for Liverpool now. True, Kakes better than your left back. Better, which left back are you referring to? Excuse me. You say even though he's a right back, okay. Grisa and Mateta elite players, they should be signed by big clubs. Well, let's wait and see. But I do not think Borussia Dortmund will be letting go of Bruce in the coming, uh, uh, couple of days. Okay, I seem to have overscrolled. I'm trying to trace back where those comments are so that I do not miss out on a single thing. Okay, yes, I think I found it. You meant Lewis Kelly, a clear scene. Okay, Arsenal will finish second again. AR, wow, that would be another harsh reality for Arsenal, for the Arsenal fan base. UN Timber is the most balanced and underrated player. He plays as a left back, centre back, right back, and central defensive midfielder. He brings balance for everyone. Yeah, very, very good player. I think he was arguably one of Arsenal's best players of the season during the last campaign. Very consistent. Agresa is a monster. I am clueless why big clubs. A big club hasn't moved for him. Perhaps Dortmund are not willing to sell, but you never know. Maybe he also wants to stay there. Danny Ngila 96. Who is your favorite to win the Premier League title? So far, it remains Liverpool because they are the team to beat. They are the reigning champions. So they remain favorites. Arteta under pressure to win a trophy. Yes, that is without a doubt. Swell says, if Arsenal is second, Liverpool is lower. Let's hope that will be the case. Then who wins it, Manchester City or Chelsea? What's your opinion on Victor Gyökeres? I think he's going to be a very, very good player for Arsenal. He has, he adds a lot of goal threat to this Arsenal team, but also creativity. He does create lots of chances, and he managed to create 28 assists, in 2 seasons at Sporting City. That is an average of 14 assists in a season, and then his goal numbers and speak for themselves. Not to say that he will be scoring the same loads of amounts of goals for Arsenal, but I believe it gives them that goal threat and advantage. And he's very athletic, very energetic. By athletic, I mean he has the speed on the ball, but also he can show off defenders and opponent players. So he's not going to be a pushover. So yeah, let's wait and see. But I think he will be a success at Arsenal. Yes, and Mateta too. He is Premier League proven. That's true. I've seen some Manchester United fans would have wished to sign Joan Felipe Mateta if they fail with all their top targets. I think he's a good player. It depends on how you deploy him in your system. Under Patrick Vieira, he was not getting things done. Then Liverpool will win the Premier League. Liverpool will win the Premier League. That's according to AR. How many Champions League Arsenal now? Of course, Arsenal have never won that title, if that's what you're trying to refer to. Eze has reportedly told his friends he's moving to Arsenal. It's been in the papers. Yes, that's been in the papers, but Arsenal yet to make a formal bid to Crystal Palace. They are still having those informal talks. I saw yesterday some reports suggesting that Arsenal sporting director Andrea Bata had spent 3 hours on a Zoom call with Ebeleche Eze and his agents. I do not know how true that is, but those reports are not going to go away in the near future, unless Arsenal get that deal done. Then at how many times has Liverpool won the Premier League invisible? I do not think they've ever. Arteta only won the FA Cup and spent a lot of money. That is true, but you need to look at the context of where he found that team. Look at how much Chelsea have spent ever since they were taken over by Tony Boyle and his partner. Look at how much they've spent also because of where they felt the team was and where it needed to go. So in that same period, Manchester United has been spending lots of money. Have they won the league title? Not yet. So also look at it that way. It is true that he's only won the FA Cup, but look at the kind of squad that he inherited and how he had to literally flip it over. Among the players that Arteta inherited that are still left at the club is, I think, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, who else? Because most of the others are new recruits in as far as Mikel Arteta at Arsenal is concerned. Then also, okay, you say I saw it. Lil Mofam says look up RQ. RAR invisibles equals 38 gross. Invisibles, they are 12 gross, not 38. Akripo says, I'm a football fan first and foremost, so I love combos like this. Thank you so much. Um, Taman Taus, good to have you back on the channel. Taman Taus, where is your tie? I do not, I do not even remember the last time I wore a tie, if that's what you mean. When was the last time Arsenal won a Premier League title? That was in 2004. AR Shumai says AR 2025-2026. I think he means uh, that's him responding that they are going to win it this season. Great players adapt, brother. Let's hope he does. Yeah, that's true. Great players adapt, but not all great players adapt. By the way, remember when Chelsea signed Fernando Torres to in January 2011 from Liverpool to Chelsea for 50 million pounds. Did he adapt to Chelsea? I do not think he did. Never lived to his full potential. You remember when Chelsea in 2007 signed Claudio Pizarro from Bayern Munich? Did he adapt? I don't think he adapted. Remember when they signed Andrei Shevchenko? Those were all great players, by the way, but they failed to live with their expectations. I look at majority of Arsenal signings. Yeah, 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 Yebisira, sorry, Yebisira. Hi, how are you? Can you say hi to me? Good to have you on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. But it's good to have you join us. Then you say Arsenal fans thinking backup and Henry era. Ateta isn't a winner. He's here to prove that he's a winner, but let's not forget he beat up against some really good teams in his first spell to win the FA Cup, but also to win 2 community shields. Then that was when Manchester City won the treble, I think, after 2023. Then when also Liverpool won the league title in 2020. They played Liverpool in the Community Shield after winning the FA Cup in 2020. At least we didn't lose to Plymouth Agile. That's Shimal taking a dig at AR. Arsenal not winners. Sextuple is a group of 6. Thank you for the correction, but I managed to find that. Arsenal fan base are toxic. I think even Arsenal fans would say the same about other fan bases. But it's all rivalry and banter and everything to do with that. So for me, I understand it. From especially given how much emotions or how emotionally fans are vested with their respective teams. You also AR calling ghosts toxic is peak comedy. AR, what did you win last year? Ashma says Footballtribe. Football Tribe guy was like this after reading that. Not an Arsenal fan, brother. Hi, Miss Pedri is back with us. Um, uh, Hi, I just woke up. Yes, good morning to you too. My brother, it's at 10:22 a.m. Here in Kampala. Okay, Liverpool will Liverpool will have improved the squad. Nunes isn't good enough and can't finish. Yeah, he's turned out not to be good enough, at least for the Premier League or for Liverpool in particular. Isak will improve the squad. If he does join, he definitely would. How long has the live been going? It's been going for the last 1 hour and 8 minutes so far now. So then also, you say Liverpool aren't paying 180 million pounds in any lifetime. Well, let's wait and see. If they believe the player is worth that, then they should be paying that. That's if Liverpool do believe he's worth that. Then also Schmeichel says, okay, he came 20 minutes ago. Okay, then we had already done more than 50 minutes or 45 minutes. Schmeichel says, bye. It's been a pleasure having you. Liverpool will buy Gehi and Isak. Let's wait and see. Hopefully, it all works out. Liverpool will sell Timikas, Elliott, Morton, Chiesa, Nunes, Doak, Ramsey, and Williams. Doak, Everton were interested, but I think were priced out by Liverpool. It's asking fee of about £30 million. Elliott, yeah, is a player that many teams have considered, but they've yet to offer concrete offers for Liverpool. Timikas, I do not think I wouldn't advise Liverpool to lose Timikas. He's one of those very versatile players that can play everywhere. He's not, he's not among those kinds of players that are going to give you a man of the match kind of performance, but he can be a reliable figure as far as a squad player can be. Yes, Chiesa would be looking to leave. Then you say Isak is not leaving Newcastle. They have zero obligation to sell. That's the fact. Yes, they have zero obligation to sell, even though the player would want to leave. But also, he still has 3 years to his contract. So if they are to stick to their guns, at the end of next season, he would still have 2 years, and then they can sell him then. But let's wait and see. It's a bit of a developing situation. If they can land some potent replacements, then they could look to move him on. Then you see, AR says optional Liverpool needs Stiller. I think I've said that before, and even during the course of this podcast, that they could use another central midfielder. Isak wants to leave, that's true, but just because you want to leave doesn't mean your club is going to let you leave. So Newcastle are literally the richest football club in the world. He doesn't get a decision if they decide to run out his contract. Newcastle is not the richest club. That's not true. But they do have some of the richest owners, because the majority of Newcastle is owned by that public investment thing by the Saudis. But they have one of the richest, some of the richest owners that there is in football, but they are not one of the richest clubs. Those two things are different. The two are different. Because and yesterday we were talking about that same topic. Please go to the channel and go to the video section and see the question that we raised. Is the Premier League system rigged against Newcastle and other mid-table teams? So listen to that conversation, and you'll get to understand why Newcastle's hands are tied in this particular case. Then you said, okay. Oh, apologies. Sorry. Arsenal fans thinking about Wenger early yesteryears. Okay. Yes, but Madueke isn't a skillful player. I would have went for Leon Bailey. Okay. Looks like your assessment and the assessment of Arsenal's recruitment team would differ. But yeah, there's a lot of people that believe that maybe Arsenal would have gone for other options. But well, they've already gone for Madueke, so it is what it is. And Bro thinks Isak isn't contractually obliged to see out his legally binding contract. No, of course, if let's say Newcastle were to stick it to him and say, because part of his dissatisfaction with Newcastle is apparently he had been promised a new contract with improved terms under the previous management, but once there was a change in management, things shifted. They brought in people like Paul Mitchell, who did not think they deserved. It warranted them to award him a contract, given the position that the club was in regards to the PSR rules and things of that nature. So there is also that. Then you say Isak isn't confirmed yet, right? Yes, he's not yet confirmed. We will see where Isak will go. Isak will be coming to Liverpool. Let's hope that will be the case. No, it's not. It's a rumor. He's exploring options. Stop hating Arsenal fans. Which team will Isak go to? Let's wait. You never know. Maybe PSG comes in last minute. Maybe Real Madrid throws their hat in the ring. Maybe Bayern Munich thinks that Nick Waltman is not enough. We need to add on. Maybe Barcelona comes in for him, and even though I do not think they have enough resources to sign him and get him registered, especially given the wage controls that they have to deal with. So you never know. Any team, any European giant could come in for him. For now, it's not cast in stone. While reports do suggest that his preference would be go to Liverpool, let's not rule out anything. So far, it's still an open race. Okay, it's not just a room. Okay, he will stay at Newcastle and move for free when his contract ends out and ends Real Madrid. By the time his contract ends out, he will be about 28. It depends on how he will have still performed during that period, if that were to be the case scenario, because you could also run out his contract, and by the time he runs it out, he's falling far down the pecking order among some of Europe's elite strikers. So that is also a possibility, no? Then you say, okay, Rio is an academy product of Liverpool. Okay, okay, I've not had the chance to watch him, or maybe I need to put a name to the face, because sometimes we watch these kids and you're like, that's an exciting kid, and then you need to run back and search for their name, because predominantly they're playing in the academies. Mr. Tribe, Asensio is a good. Did you see the Club World Cup? Alonso wants to sell him immediately. He's also young. He's legit turning. He's also young. He's legit turning 25. Kubasi Asensio debate didn't last long. Now, guys, the reason as to why I'll defend a player like Raul Asensio, for how long has he been playing at the top level? And by the way, he wasn't the only person that committed a mistake. Even top defenders commit these mistakes. I do remember Virgil van Dijk committing that error against Arsenal, and they ended up conceding. And you remember Antonio Rudiger made the horrendous error, which led to them conceding against PSG. So even the most of senior players make mistakes. So let's not use 1-2 mistakes to define him as a player entirely. That would be my view on that. But if you say the Paul Kubasi Asensio debate ended really quick, I won't disagree with you on that. Then 25 for a centre half is a bit on the young side, Maestro. Again, for me, it depends. Okay, look at it this way. You could have, let's say, a player who is 22 years of age, but has played more football at a top level as opposed to a 25-year-old. You can also have that scenario. In football, we also have late developers. We've just been talking about Joan Felipe Mateta. Until 2 seasons ago, nobody would have considered signing Joan Felipe Mateta. But because in 2023-2024, he scored 16 goals in the Premier League, and last season he scored 14, he's coming to the considerations. But he's 28 years of age. So let's have that little bit of context to the conversation, knowing that also you could be 30 and there's a 25-year-old that has played more games than you. So that would give you more game experience, because experience is not just about how old you are. It's about how much you play, So look at Lamine Yamal for the last 2 seasons. He's played more football than some 25-year-olds, So let's also bear that in mind. Then you say, okay, as center halves tend to get better with time as they learn to read the game better. 98 goals in 102 games in Portugal is abnormal numbers. By the way, I think it's 97 goals plus 28 assists, but true, those are abnormal numbers. Mateta is criminally underrated, to be honest. Yabrisa Getty. I said hello to you too a while ago. Newcastle have UEFA Champions League football as well. I simply do not see it happening. Do not rule out anything. Just keep an open mind. You never know. Teams can surprise you. They could assess it and say, rather than having an unhappy player, if a team like Liverpool meets our valuation of the player, then we can let him go. So do not rule out anything, even though they have UEFA Champions League football. But yeah, them having UEFA Champions League football further amplifies why they really need to keep Alexander Isak and help them, compete. They are the richest brother. They are owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Yes. Now, again, look at it this way. For example, if you have a rich dad, it doesn't mean you're rich. It is your dad who is rich. So in this way, the Saudi Public Investment Fund is a rich entity. But because they are rich, doesn't mean that Newcastle is rich. Why is that? Is because the public fund or the entity, the Saudis, cannot wake up and say we're going to invest 500 million pounds in this Newcastle team and sign good players and put them on good wages. And that's part of the conversation we're having. Like I said, please consider going to the channel under the video section and watch that video that we did about Newcastle. You'll sort of understand the context within which I speak about this Newcastle issue. But thank you so much for that comment as well. I really think Arsenal can win the Premier League this season. Those are the views of Pedri. I don't disagree with you. Then you say maybe Barcelona comes in for him. He had to remind me. I do not defend him. He's awful. A worst defender in a big club. Right now, he thinks he's the main show realist. He's just a trash can of a centre back. He's turning 25 soon. He ain't a project anymore. Really awful. Okay, if that's what you feel about Raul Asensio, I won't I won't defend it any further, but at least I've given you my context. But also, what you're quoting about his age is not true. He's 22 years of age. He's only 22 and not 24 that he's turning 25. He's 22 years of age. In February next year, he will be turning 23. So that's the point of correction I wanted to bring forth in regards to his age profile. So yeah, and I think at 22, like Kripal said, you're still learning. You still have a lot to learn. Even though there are young defenders that you find at 19, 20 that are better, he's still learning. You say, okay, Arsenal going to win the Premier League and Champions League. Well, wouldn't that be a dream season for Arsenal fans? Wouldn't that be the dream season for Arsenal fans? But let's wait and see if they are really capable. Bas contrast, Bas Consta 66. Hi, how are you? Good to have you on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us this season. Fabricio Romano, Alexander Isak doesn't want to play in the Champions League. What do you mean he doesn't want to play in the Champions League? That's false. Oh, he doesn't want to play in the Champions League. He wants to win it. Okay, all players want to win it, but just because they want to win it doesn't mean that they will go on to win it. But let's wait and see how things will evolve. So Liverpool is his first choice. Yeah, it will be his first choice, but you never know. If Real Madrid comes in, maybe he changes his stance. If Barcelona say we are selling Ferran Torres and maybe Fermin Lopez or one other player to secure a deal for Alexander Isak, maybe that changes. My problem with Fabricio is he just recontextualizes other journalists' stories and acts like he broke it. He did it with Gyökeres as Austin broke the story 3 hours before. Here's my thought about that. If that's how you feel about Fabricio Romano. Sometimes these journalists are working with sources that may give them information at the same time. So if the other one puts their information out first, then of course it will be considered the other one broke the story. But it doesn't mean to say that this one also doesn't have the sources that have also been feeding him information to the same effect. Take an example. Let's say if we are watching, an event, and we're sending out live tweets about the event. If you put out the tweet faster than me, it doesn't necessarily mean that you saw the incident faster than me. It simply means that you beat me to putting out the information. But that's how I'll put it. But I also understand your school of thought or your background with which you bring in that. I will want to sign him next year if he waits, because he will sign a big number 9 next year, most likely Julian Alvarez. Okay, most likely Julian Alvarez wouldn't come cheap. and I think he's a happy player at Atletico de Madrid. He's one of those players, apparently, according to the Athletic, was discussed at Arsenal. Maybe particularly due to the presence of Andrea Bata in the room. Then he does it long, brother. He has some conduct for sure, but he plagiarizes a lot. Okay, can I just say this has been an amazing live stream, best one yet, and also what do you think of the fantasy Premier League? Like I said, I'm still thinking of that. I'll communicate once we do have a decision in place and regards to. But what we take when it comes to creating our own football tribe community, our fantasy Premier League. Julian Alvarez wants to move to us. Really? Okay. Players grow up dreaming of playing for a team like Barcelona, so I wouldn't rule it out. We saw Antoine Griezmann leave Atletico de Madrid to join Barcelona, so anything can happen. Alvarez is a fantastic player. He wants to stay at Atletico de Madrid because he wants to play for a bigger club. Okay, let's just wait and see how everything will evolve in that regard. But yeah, this has been a very, very fruitful and a very engaging, a broadcast. I think arguably one of the best that we've had on this channel in terms of engagement and debate about, the game. It's only understandable, although sometimes unfortunate, that some of our members, live in the Newcastle, but everybody has to get to their respective work and hustle and other commitments. So it's completely 100% understandable. I myself need to sign up soon to get my other, work endeavors and engagements. But you say I thought at the time and still think City made a mistake not utilizing and selling Alvarez. Okay, it could come off that way, but usually that argument is very easy for us to make when a player goes somewhere and they succeed. When they go out and they do not succeed, then usually people we football fans will be like, oh, maybe they dodged the bullet, or they were smart to move him on at the time when they moved him on. So that's how sometimes it can look like. There's a very big question in the room. Who will be Arsenal's next shirt number 10? Will it be Ebelechi Eze? Will it be Rodrigo Goes? Will it be Rafael Leao? Who will it be? I mean, they did sell him for 95 million euros, which is a very good fee. You could see how good he was in the limited minutes under Pep Guardiola. Yes, he was indeed very, very good. So he was a very good player, but usually Pep Guardiola works under the kind of system where if a player wants to leave, he won't hold you back. He won't hold you back whatsoever. He will give you your wishes. He will grant you your wishes and let you go. And he doesn't. He's not the kind of manager that wants to sit down and convince you to stay. He's the kind of manager that will count his losses and move on from them. Atlet took the shackles off him and he's showed his quality. That's true. Personally, it might be criticized, but I prefer Eze over Odegaard in the number 10 role, 10 position. I'll disagree with you on that. Top performing Martin Odegaard is simply brilliant. It's simply brilliant to watch. As much as Eze is equally brilliant, I think Martin Odegaard, in terms of dictating the tempo of the game, dictating play, helping steer the team forward, I think he comes really, really good as one of the very best that there is. Okay. Then Samuel Smith. Now, Chelsea just are busy trading players between themselves. And what do I mean that? They do have a sister club in Strasbourg, and they signed Mamadou Sarr, the 19-year-old French centre back from there, and loaned him back. Now, they've sold them Ishi Samuels Smith, who has signed a 5-year contract with Strasbourg. Now, if he goes there and performs, has two good seasons, do not get surprised if Chelsea sign him back. Chelsea want to sign Emmanuel Emega from Strasbourg. I mean, where is it going to end? And maybe I saw a Chelsea fan yesterday saying that the day UEFA fully investigates Chelsea, we will be cooked. Those were the words of a Chelsea, a fan. Meanwhile, Manchester City confirmed the signing of James Trafford, who joined from Burnley on a deal. He did put pen to paper on a 5-year contract with an option to extend it for a further year. A total fee will be at £27 million. Remember, they sold him for about £13 million in 2023. So he does retire. And ever since then, they've told Stefan Ortega to find, a room elsewhere. They are looking to move him on. And then Chelsea do have an agreement in principle for Joel Hato. That deal is almost as good as done. While they are also on the verge of completing the signing of Xavi Simons from RB Leipzig. Then Vancouver Whitecaps have finalized the deal for Thomas Muller as a free agent, having left Bayern Munich. Then Liverpool managed to win the race to sign Will Wright from Salford. Arsenal tried to hijack that deal, but it looks like Liverpool have won that race. Ortega is such an underrated player. He deserves to start for a big club. City treated him so badly. I do not think they treated him so badly. I think sometimes you exist in a time when there is a very good player. So, for example, look at a goalkeeper like Marc-Andre Stegen. He's grown up in the same time of Manuel Neuer. Look at Jens Lehmann. He grew up in the same time of Oliver Kahn. So you eventually get to live in the shadows of that player. You remember, no matter what Neymar did at Barcelona, he was always going to be in the shadow of Lionel Messi. So sometimes that's the case. So you had a player in Ederson Morales who was already well established within the Manchester City ranks as a number one. You do not just come and push him out, So that's the context I'll put on it in that respect. But yeah, then we know that we are simply waiting for an announcement from Bayern Munich for Luis Diaz. Barcelona, for me, Metro Madrid looked disjointed last season, and you have strengthened while they have only brought in Dinhausen and Alvaro Carreras. Then apparently Manchester, okay, this is well known. Manchester United have narrowed down their striker search to 3 options: Oli Watkins, Benjamin Sesko, and Nicholas Jackson. Although some reports in recent times have suggested that they may have cooled down their interest in Nicholas Jackson. Then Joao Felix was also unveiled as an Al Nassr player. That pretty much we already know. Look at my previous comment, please. What did I miss? I won't get mad. I just want to know your opinion. Who do you think will win La Liga? There is only one allowed answer. Why do you say there is only one allowed answer? You can't ask for an opinion and then hold my mouth to say what you want. But like I said, it is a question I've answered before. I said Barcelona are the favorites to win it. I would put Atletico Madrid in number 2 and Real Madrid in number 3 as things stand at the moment. Watkins is the best of those 3. I do not disagree with you on that one. I've said it before. If the decision for Manchester United, again, go to the channel under the video section. You will see why a video that says why Man United should sign Nicholas Jackson. And as part of that argument, I did say, but if the decision boils down to Nicholas Jackson versus Oli Watkins, then it is a no-brainer. Man United should sign Oli Watkins. However, apparently they are unwilling to meet Aston Villa's, asking fee of about £60 million for the 29-year-old who turns by the 30th December, and then they would love to first get a replacement before they commit to letting go of Oli Watkins. Never mind that they do have Daniel Malin within the ranks. United can't afford yet another project player. You need ready-made players at this moment. Nicholas Jackson is one of those. I mean, if you've scored 24 goals in your debut, in your 2 debut campaigns in the Premier League, while providing 10 assists in the Premier League alone. That's not a bad return on investment. That's not a bad return on investment. But I do understand what you're trying to say. I've also said it. Why are they trying to sign Benjamin Sesko, who is of the same age profile, same kind of profile player as Rasmus Højlund? No much different from the likes of Joshua Zaki. Not in terms of playing style, but in overall delivery. They are all project signings, prospects that would blossom to be better strikers. So for me, I think they need an experienced player like Oli Watkins to come and be banging in the goals as he takes off the pressure, the likes of Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zaki, and maybe that will help them thrive as well. Over the years, there's been players that are very comfortable playing when they come in as substitutes when the team is leading 2-0 and they'll score the next 2 goals. When the team is leading 3-0 and they'll add the icing to the cake. Those kinds of players. So if you take the weight or the pressure of them being, the de facto goal scorers who are expected to be banging the goals for Man United, it could help them further develop and thrive. So that's why, for me, I would agree that they should be looking to land a player like Oli Watkins. Hello, Macasino. Good to have you on the broadcast. Watkins has put the same number of goals as Erling Haaland for the last 2 seasons. Please, Haaland is better. Haaland's numbers are better because I think he scored about 16, 15 goals over the last couple of seasons. When you go back to, I think, 2023, 2024, his best campaign, when he scored 19 goals and provided 13 assists, his best season in an Aston Villa jersey. I agree, there's zero difference between Højlund and Sesko. They are both potential players, not the guy. Yes, good to know that we agree on that one. That's some of what is boiling in the transfer world in regards to the latest. What's more important? It's been a very, very fruitful discussion. Then Juventus keep working on a deal for Randall Colomwani, and they want to take him permanently, as the player still wants Juventus priority despite calls from the UK. So that's according to Fabrizio Romano. Then Rangers want to sign Mickey Moore on loan from Tottenham. We had a conversation the other day about Mickey Moore there with Pedri. But let's wait and see. It's still then Flamengo and Atletico did sign all the documents for Samuel Lino to join for 22 million euros. By the way, Flamengo have recruited a good amount of players and they remain active in the transfer window. And then Victor Osimhen is expected to land, is expected to complete his deal to Galatasaray today, according to Fabrizio Romano. So guys, let's quickly run through the latest transfer speculation and gossip as per the compilations of BBC Sport. That's our source. Victor Gyökeres has signed for Arsenal, and Hugo Ekitike also Havertz. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen in the season? I think Victor Gyökeres could score more goals than Hugo Ekitike, and the reason for that is Victor Gyökeres could get more playing time compared to Ekitike, because you have a Liverpool side that can fit their team to any format, and they can play without that outright striker, the way they have to play without Darwin Núñez as the target man, and oftentimes have him come off the bench because you have Cody Gakpo, you have Mo Salah, Florian Wirtz. Then that means you retain a midfield trio of Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai. And we do not know who else is coming in after the departure of Luis Diaz, but you never know. Ekitike could also be played on the flanks, on one of the wings. Gyökeres gets a minimum of 20 to 25 goals, in your opinion, across all competitions. I believe that's what you meant. Dennis Jukes, good to have you on the broadcast. Hello, mates. How are you? It's your buddy from Australia. Yes, good to have you, Dennis Jukes. Always a pleasure. He's a Newcastle fan, by the way. He's one of those that has resigned himself to the fact that they could lose Alexander Isak. He says, I think Newcastle will only let Isak go for about 135 million pounds plus add-ons if they get Sesko and Wissa, or he stays for one more season. I think even if they were to get 150 million pounds for Alexander Isak, the best case scenario for Newcastle, for me, I believe, would be to tell the player, look, we're not letting you go this summer because we're in the Champions League, please stay and play for us. And then next summer, let's have a gentleman's agreement that we will let you go to your preferred destination next summer. Currently, this summer, because you're still on a 3-year contract, we would have loved to get at least 180 million pounds for you. But because we want you to stay for one season, we will let you go for about 150 next summer. Now, of course, there would have the counter arguments. I'm not saying it's as simple as saying that they will just put it before him that way, and then he will get to say and not raise his arms up. Because, like I said, a part of his discontentment with the club is that he had been promised a new contract with the previous management, and then when the Paul Mitchell came in, they sort of backtracked on that because of the club situation with the PSR rules. But for a team like Newcastle that wants to qualify for the UEFA Champions League next season again, and you're already in the UEFA Champions League, you want to win a piece of silver where maybe the FA Cup, maybe finish even fourth rather than fifth, you ought to retain Alexander Isak. For me, even if you brought in a Benjamin Sesko and you want Isak, I mean, Alexander Isak at this point is a finished product. Benjamin Sesko is a prototype, you know. Alexander Isak is a finished product. Benjamin Sesko is a prototype, you know. So that's how I would look at it, really. But that will all be under ideal circumstances, if we are being honest. Akrupo says in the Premier League only, he gets a 25. I think he gets a 30 across all competitions. Okay, that will be a really, really good turnover if you are able to get that. I think the Newcastle chairman has flown into the Newcastle United and is not happy with the recruitment team and the lack of signings. Guys, at Newcastle, you started without a sporting director. Basically, it's been Eddie Howe trying to do the heavy lifting with the help of the other recruitment department that has left off. Of course, you've been trying to. There's a newly appointed guy. His name eludes me at the moment, but you've been, making some recruitments. But that in itself was a false start, because you do not go into one ugly of your most important transfer windows in this Newcastle era without a sporting director or without a head of recruitment, and things like that. Because Paul Mitchell, I think, is exited the club. So you lost this guy that you lost to Man United, Danny Ashworth. By the way, only spending 5 months at United and being let go was also not good. Then also underrated shout. Man United signed Strand Larson from Wolves. Is that the player you're talking about? Excuse me. Strand Larson is a good player, but I do not think. Whilst Strand Larson is a good player, I do not see how he betters Man United, really. I do not see how he gets that going. Guys, are you still able to hear me? Because I'm struggling to. Okay. Yes. I think we're still on. My feed here was, it had dropped in regards to your comments. Okay. So Strand Larson, good player, but not what Man United need. I do not think so. Has Premier League experience, is a good number 9 finisher, as like Luis Suarez, Lewandowski, and he links well with Cunha. I mean, I do not rate him that highly. Really, I do not rate him that highly for me, really, because you look at when you're a team like Manchester United, the expectations are way huge for you. Way huge for you. Yes, he got 14 goals last campaign and 4 assists, which is good. But 25 years of age. How would he be any different from Nicholas Jackson? I think he's in the same mold. So if you're comparing Strand Larson, Nicholas Jackson, and Ollie Watkins, I'm still going with Ollie Watkins any day, if that's the comparison that we're having. But thank you for that input as well. Then also, I think by signing a new contract with an 80 million euro, 80 million release clause, Sesko has priced himself out of a big move. Now, Benjamin Sesko knew that Arsenal wanted to sign him. He was well aware of that. Of course, there are other suitors, but RB Leipzig were demanding 90 million euros. His agents were asking for high, commissions for the deal. The player apparently asked for significantly higher wages, which priced him out of the move to Arsenal. And by the time they got back to the table to apparently to take some concessions, this is according to the Athletic, Arsenal had moved on to Victor Gyökeres. And that's why recent reports have suggested that RB Leipzig have sort of softened their stance for a certain group of teams when it comes to their expected transfer fee. They've reduced it to about 70 to 80 million euros plus some add-ons. So he could still get a move, but like I said, we're talking about a prototype of a striker. We're not talking about a finished product, because if you have scored 13 goals and provided 5 assists, then you're not different from Strand Larson, who scored 14 and provided 4 assists. You're not different from Nicholas Jackson, who scored 10 and provided 5 assists. Really. So again, I do not see the difference. Then especially if you can get a Gyökeres at 63 after add-ons. Yeah. So yes. Okay. What expectations he is playing for a team that isn't playing in any European competitions? That is part of the reason as why they want to let him go, to use that money to try and rebuild and compete more favorably next season. But they had an opportunity to let him go in January, and they still refused because Arsenal had come in for him in January. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. So let's see if that situation will change. Anyways, guys, let's quickly go through the. Oh, my apologies. I'm here fumbling things Okay. Anyways, in regards to that, the transfer speculation and gossip, for majority of these we've mentioned. For example, we mentioned about Nick Pope being targeted by Manchester United. We talked about Newcastle reaching the agreement, signing Ramsdale. Then we've talked about Manchester United also being linked with a potential move for Gianluigi Donnarumma, who is of interest to Galatasaray, as well as Chelsea and Manchester City. Then we also talked about Arsenal and their interest in Ebeleche Eze. Then Manchester City rejected a 25 million bid from Nottingham Forest for James Marketing, who is also a target for a host of German clubs. PSG are edging closer to reaching a deal for Ilian Zabani from FC Bournemouth. Bournemouth would literally have lost their entire backline by the right back. So because Kepa is out, Milos Kakes is out, Dinhausen is out. So if Zabani is also out, then really, I know they've already signed Adrian. It's called Adrian. His name is eluding me. The left back they signed from Stedlens. His second name does elude me, but they've already replaced Milos Kakes. Then we've spoken about Borussia Dortmund targeting Leandro Trossard, but they are also interested in taking back Jadon Sancho, with Manchester United reported to have reduced their asking fee from 25 million pounds to about 17 million pounds. That's according to Sky Sports. Then also Fenerbahce's interest in Fenerbahce do hold interest in Federico Chiesa from Liverpool. Lyon are interested in Tyler Morton. They are from Liverpool. According to the Times, I think Kripal spoke about Morton during the course of this broadcast. Then also, guys, I think I'm not seeing. Okay, anyways. Then also, it's all good. So then Manchester United, yes, I was softening their stance on Jordan Sancho. We spoke about that. Then, according to the Mirror, they've ended their interest in Nicholas Jackson, although Ben Jacobs and TalkSport do report to the contrary. Then Napoli want Manchester City midfielder Jack Grealish, with Chelsea having offered Raheem Sterling, but as well as Chelsea remain interested in Garnacho. So the challenge with moving on Jack Grealish is his wages. Everton are also keen on signing him. Then Everton, West Ham, and another Premier League team are interested in signing Douglas Luiz. That's according to Gimme Sport. Then Manchester United have we've spoken about their pursuit for Oli Watkins. Manchester City have informed Ortega that he's surplus to requirements after landing James Trafford. We spoke about that. Then West Ham are interested in signing Fabio Vieira from Arsenal. Let's wait and see how that will go. Then also Manchester City midfielder Calvin Phillips wants a reunion with Leeds United, while Liverpool have reached an agreement to sign a 17-year-old striker, Will Wright. That one we spoke about. While Inter Milan have increased their offer for Atlanta's 27-year-old Nigerian international, Ademola Lookman, although Atlanta want at least 50 million euros to make that deal happen. Then Portuguese side, Famalicão are interested in Tottenham's midfielder. That's Tyrese Hall, according to Sky Sports. I would have gotten a first offer agreement if it wasn't them. Okay. Oh. Okay. Let me see if I can find a different way to read those comments. Okay. Villa, surprised Villa do not have another option and do not have an option for Grealish. Maybe they think they have moved on from him. I would have gotten a first offer agreement. Okay. Yeah, he remains a good player, but for the last 2 seasons, he's not been that great. Let's be honest, he's not been that great. But anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure doing this with you for the last 1 hour and 52 minutes. Thank you so much, Kripal. You've been, one of the giants of today's engagement. Pedri, thank you so much. Dennis Dukes, it's been a pleasure to have you back. Macasino, thank you so much for your input to today's broadcast and conversation. Thank you so much, AR Basconista. Thank you so much for being part of today's podcast. Bisira, thank you so much. You are part of us earlier on. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Shmail, thank you so much. AR, it's been great having you on the conversation. Then Lily Mofam, it was good to have you. Let me see who else have I missed out mentioning. Marcus Rashford, it was good to have you. John Boy, always a pleasure. Alim Kamali, it was a pleasure to have you. Yadav, always great to see you. Louis, is it Louis? Sorry. Oh, who is the name I'm reading? I'm trying to read. Yes, Luis Flores. Yes, Luis Flores from Mexico. Thank you so much, guys. He was amazing in a Villa shirt. Yes, he was amazing, but he's not the same player that he was when Man City bought him for £100 million. So thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure doing this with you for the last nearly 2 hours. Thank you so much for your input to today's debate. We will look to have another conversation when time allows us, but also if there is a significant news for us to talk about in regards to transfers at the moment. And do not forget, your teams are going to be in action for for their friendlies. Manchester United will be up against AFC Bournemouth. That's today, leading into Thursday. That's at 4:30 a.m. East African time, because they are over there in the USA. Then Arsenal will be up against Tottenham Hotspurs. I think that will be tomorrow at about 2:30 p.m. Do not miss out on that action and more from some of your favorite clubs. And of course, there's a whole host of other friendly matches from some of your respective teams that you do follow. For some of those friendlies, you may be known. I know Liverpool have a game against Yokohama FM in Japan. So, anyways, I will look to bring you, the results, and maybe depending on what games that we may have just ourselves upon watching, I will bring you the reviews and previews if possible. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Let's meet again later for another broadcast. But do not forget to go to the channel, check out all our previous videos, watch them, and see if you do have any divergent views or share different opinions about some of those queries or topics that we'll get to discuss. Have a great day to you all. It's been a pleasure. Bye bye.